everyone, and welcome to the Propcast. My name is Louisa Dickens, co-founder of Ella Mulry and board director of the UKPA, and I shall be your weekly host. Each week for 30 minutes, we'll be connecting the VCs, prop tech startups, and real estate professionals globally, and assist in bridging that famous communication gap we all love talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Propcast. Today, we are joined by PropTech influencer Anthony Slumbers as we chat through talent and the changing workplace. So welcome, Anthony. Pleasure to have you on the Propcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
For those who haven't heard of Anthony, which I would be very, very surprised if you have not, and you're in PropTech, Anthony is a globally recognized speaker, advisor, and writer on PropTech and space as a service. A serial entrepreneur, he has founded and exited several PropTech software companies and now consults real estate boards on their transformation, technology, and innovation strategies. He writes an influential blog, which we'll go into a little bit more later on, at anthonyslumbers.com, and is a prolific tweeter. He's a member of the ULI Europe Technology and Real Estate Council, on the leadership board of Cretech, a member of the advisory board of tenant engagement leader Equium, and on tech working group of the British Property Federation. His clients include various big names like BRE, Global Investors, EPRA, INREV, the Crown Estate, and I could go on and on to the likes of, say, MRI, RICS, and Fifth Wall Ventures. And this, you can find all of this out later on in the show. But also, what we'll delve into, in May this year, Anthony co-founded the Real Innovation Academy, which runs a 5-week online course on the future-proof office, which he'll chat through later about, what it's about, why he started, and a bit of what that course includes. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Anthony. Shall we kickstart with the questions?
Fire away.
Awesome. Okay, so where should we start? And I guess in your recent blog, you mentioned the pandemic as another T-model moment, which I guess caused every industry, specifically we're looking at real estate, to be impacted. Commercial real estate closed down, shops shut, along with restaurants and hotels and bars, and offices emptied. And we're seeing, the future is looking fairly uncertain, but it's just looking different, actually. Can you sort of explain to our listeners, what do you sort of mean by the T-model moment, and how has technology impacted this, and specifically for real estate, what it sort of meant for it?
What we need to look at is, if you think of when the Model T came off the first production line in 1908, the standard way of travel at that time was a horse. There's a huge horse population. The Model T comes off the line, and then within a number of years, suddenly, basically, there are no more jobs for horses, and there's lots of jobs for cars, and you get these sort of punctured equilibrium moments when big things change, and then they change very, very rapidly. And I think what's happening now, and what is being sort of unearthed by the pandemic, is that fundamentally technology has changed the demand for real estate. It's just in many ways we didn't particularly notice until very recently. And so you've got this situation now where the type of work we do is changing, but also where we can do it. Clearly, there's been this sort of global mass experiment in remote working, and it turns out that actually people can work remotely. And then you start thinking, well, in that case, what do I need my office for? And you have this sort of aha moment. I've been very surprised over the last few months how many CEOs have come out rather sort of amazed that their companies have carried on working, as if they didn't realize that a lot of this technology existed and people can do things pretty well where they wanted. So you get these sort of, as I say, these Model T moments when all of a sudden things change very, very dramatically. And that's really what's happening now. We're realizing we're moving into a different world very, very quickly.
And I guess this different world sort of, impacts everyone. And you mentioned your blog where I quote a stat from McKinsey in 2017, 47% of the tasks people were paid to do globally could be automated by using currently demonstrated technology. I guess what there's a big debate going on, and the UKPA are about to, do this debate, and it's about the knock-on effects of technology in real estate. What does it mean for, jobs?
Well, it's absolutely huge. I mean, the McKinsey thing, as you say, was from 2017. 47% of all the tasks people are paid to do around the world can be automated by currently demonstrated technology. So that's essentially half the tasks that people are paid to do can be done by machines. And at the moment, you're paying humans to do it. And this is sort of sneaking up on us. I mean, people don't realize actually how fast technology has developed, and the progress within artificial learning and the speed of processors and the amount of data we have and the scale of computational power that now at our disposal is absolutely extraordinary, and has dramatically changed over the last 5 or 6 years. So we're now in a position that if you're actually brutal about it, you can look at, if you split you should always think of these things. It's not a case of jobs going, it's the component parts of jobs. So all jobs are made up of individual tasks. People do 20 different things to make up their job. Well, if you take all the parts of your job that are in one way or another structured, repeatable, or predictable, those are going to be automated. And that's what the 47% that McKinsey are talking about. Any task that is structured, repeatable, or predictable will be automated. Elvis has left the building. That's gone. So we're actually moving to a situation where, in a paradoxical way, as we get more technologically advanced, the role of the human at work is actually getting less technological, because there's no point us trying to fight the machines at what the machines are good at. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. And if anything is structured, repeatable, predictable, the machines are going to do it better than you. But fortunately, what machines are not so good at are all the things that humans are good at. So humans are good at imagination, empathy, design, abstract and critical thinking, judgment, and all these sorts of things. The human skills are what people are going to be doing in an office. So we're not going to be going into office to do an awful lot of tippy-tappy on our keyboards on our own. The purpose of going into an office is actually going to be to work with other people to do human things, because that's our only value is going to be using our human capabilities and our human skills to create new products, to create new services, to refine products and services. So you actually need a completely different form factor of an office in this world. If you look at the sort of typical traditional office where everyone's lined up in a row and in rows, and it actually looks a bit like workplace as spreadsheet. Everyone's sitting there as if they were selling a spreadsheet, doing something structured, repeatable, predictable. That's what the old office was about. And that was a world where it was really easy. If you had 100 employees, if you wanted to kit out a workplace, you go and buy 100 desks, 100 chairs, 100 computers, 100 phones, you line them all up, make sure they're all grey, and away you go. You've got a workplace. But when the work we do is changing and becoming much more human, we actually need places that catalyze our human skills. We need to be in spaces that enable us to be as good at our human skills as possible. So the whole form factor of the office was changing anyway. I mean, one of the reasons that the likes of WeWork grew so much over the last 10 years wasn't just the flexibility. It was because the whole vibe, the whole aesthetic was completely different. You walk into a building and you sit down on a comfy sofa, and lots of people are doing that, and that's work. Whereas that really didn't exist in the old way of thinking of offices. But going forward, this is only going to get faster and faster and faster and more striking, that the work we do is going to be human work, and we need different types of different types of spaces. So the actual purpose of an office is fundamentally changing. And it's also why, or partly why, the idea of people coming to the office 5 days a week is just not going to fly anymore, because you don't need to be there 5 days a week. If you look at Gensler, the American architects do a workplace survey every year, and they do a breakdown of the type of work people do. And broadly speaking, it averages 50% of the time we're doing collaborative work and 50% of the time we're doing focus work. Now, as I say, there's no point in going to an office to do focus work. There's no point in going to an office to have a meeting with yourself. And what's happened during the pandemic is people have realized, well, certainly the thing they can easily do outside the office is all the focus work. What can't they do? They can't do the social work. They can't do the mentoring. They can't do the collaborative work. And that's what they're going to be going back into an office to do. No one is going to be going back into an office to do focus work, broadly speaking. I mean, there will be bits of it, but as a rule of thumb, they'll be going into the office to do collaborative work. And therefore, we need a different form factor. We need different amounts of it. And we need a very different product. And this is where the big bug and feature for the real estate industry is understanding the changing requirements of their customers and to what extent they can fulfill them.
It's interesting what you say about sort of Gensler getting involved in that. I think that one of the heads of Convene is from sort of Gensler, and obviously they're looking at really, what does their office space sort of look like? What environment can they create to allow, like you said, these human skills to flourish, where it's sort of, I guess, innovation and imagination, and this is all through the design of the office, and what, I guess, help their employees to really do a different sort of a job now. But surely it's quite a good thing, there's some mundane jobs of, analysis, going through data, that can all be done by sort of machines now. So I would have thought, well, personally, it's quite a good thing, now people can do what we were sort of, what we're sort of good at, which is, imagination, something slightly more creative as well.
It's a fantastically good thing if you are minded to realize it. Now, clearly, it is not a good thing for some people, but then if you look at the surveys of the amount of jobs that can actually be automated completely, it's said that only about 5% of jobs can be completely automated, in the sense of all the component parts of that job are things that can be automated. The vast majority of jobs can be automated to a certain extent. So you can expect that most jobs, almost all jobs, are going to be transformed in terms of what we do. But that doesn't by any means mean that those jobs are necessarily going to go. And there is an awful lot more scope for making a difference. When you bring in the sort of human skills back into it, a big differentiator are your human skills, and that's actually going to benefit some people more than others.
And I guess you're looking at the difference in workspace. How much do you think brand affects where talent is drawn to? Is it, what sort of percentage are we sort of looking at? Doesn't
I actually have a saying that I use that the user experience of your space is going to represent your brand, and the brand is going to represent your value. And this is the big challenge for real estate. That going forward, people are not going to be leasing just space. Nobody needs an office as just a dumb four walls and a seating. They need a user experience. They need to be in a space that, as I say, catalyzes their human skills. They need to be working with a company that understands what the wants, needs, and desires are of individuals in that company. What are the tasks that individuals are doing in that company? And then monitor and optimize the workplace to enable people to operate as effectively and as productively as possible. Now, to do that, you really need to understand your customer in a way that the real estate industry has never understood customers. Because frankly, and this is never a criticism, the real estate industry has never bothered with customers because it hasn't had to bother with customers. As soon as the customer has always been the person who signs the lease, and then whoever sends the rent check 4 times a year. Understanding the wants, needs, and desires of individuals who use your space is irrelevant. It makes no difference to you, and doesn't involve any financial gain. But now it is going to make a big difference to you, because people are going to use your space if it enables them to be as productive as possible. And the only way you're going to do that is by really understanding the jobs to be done of people, and as I say, their wants, needs, and desires, and then providing them with space that offers them the services they need as and when they use them. This is effectively what the space as a service, which I've been going on about since 2013 or something, it has two meanings. There's one side of it, which is space that you procure on a short-term basis. But the more important meaning of space as a service is space that provides you with the services you need as and when you need them. So the point is, to create a great workplace, you need to know a lot about your customer, and you need to integrate the hardware, the software, and the services that are involved in a building to create the best space. And that user experience that you create is going to actually become your brand. You're going to be known for being able to produce a certain type of user experience, probably for a certain type of company. You may have multiple brands, and you might have different brands that suit different types of people, different industries, or different price points. But you're going to be creating brands in the same way as hotels create brands. And so the user experience that you're able to create is going to represent your brand, and ultimately your brand in real estate is going to be where your value is. Just owning a building, a dumb building, used to be the smartest thing to do. All the gains, king of the castle was the person who owned the building. It's not anymore. The operator of the building is incredibly important now, which gets you onto the whole talent side. What sort of talents, what skills do you need to be able to operate a great space as a service user experience building?
And I guess to sort of summarize a lot of that, you previously mentioned the sort of 6 areas of the office industry that we really need to look into and connect to ensure we have this great experience. And that's real estate, that sort of networking, IoT, third one being data capture and analytics, workplace, HR, and hospitality. So if we sort of combine all these 6 areas, hopefully that will mean good things for our sort of for the office industry, or I guess the landlords and everything like that.
Well, the interesting thing is that at the moment, to create a workplace involves 6 what could be almost distinct industries. So you need real estate knowledge. You need to understand networking and Internet of Things to put the networks in the building. You need to understand data capture and analytics. You need to understand workplace. You need to understand HR, and you need to understand hospitality. Now, as it is at the moment, those are pretty much 6 distinct industries, and largely they do not talk to each other. So you have this situation where to get to desired output, you need 6 inputs, but at the moment, those inputs don't talk to each other. What I'm arguing is that the real estate company of the future, in one way or another, not necessarily that they do it all themselves, but more likely they create an ecosystem of partners that they work with, provides all these skills. So we have real estate skills, we have networking skills, we have data skills, workplace skills, HR skills, hospitality skills, and we combine them all and we get them all working together. And that's the way we're going to create great spaces. Because the way it is at the moment, if you've got 6 distinct industries, they've all got their own incentives. Everyone is aiming for slightly different outputs. Whereas really the only output that should matter is how well does this space aid the customer, which is every person using it, to be as happy, healthy, and productive as possible. Because if we can make everyone as happy, healthy, and productive as possible, that's the way to get them to pay the most money, because they will be getting a much better service. So everything that goes into a workplace that should be the singular aim. Because if I got a really happy customer, they're going to pay me more money, which is going to enable me to spend more money and provide an even better service, and so on and so forth. So you've got a situation where the real estate industry is going to fundamentally change, because it's really no longer about real estate. Obviously is about real estate. Everything you need if you're in the real estate industry, everything you know about real estate now, you need to know in the future. But it's necessary, but not sufficient. You need all these other skills as well. And as I say, you might be building them in-house, or you might be setting up partners and ecosystems to do it. I mean, you mentioned Convene earlier. You know, the point about Convene, they started with meeting rooms, and then they went on to events, and then they added flex space, and then they can integrate into AN other building. But they're all about user experience. So their job is to unify all those six different things. Now, so people will either be working with companies like them, or they will be doing them themselves, or they will be putting different companies together. But unless we can align the incentives between the owner, the operator, and the occupier of space, you're never going to create great space. And the big carrot for doing this is the fundamental fact now that the customer no longer needs our product. We are now in the office industry going through what the retail industry went through 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was saying to retail real estate people, watch out, because people don't need shops anymore. And they're going, of course they need shops. No one will buy clothes without feeling them. And then I went on and on saying, no, they will. And the point is, we no longer need a shop to go shopping. So great retailers have to make us want to go there. And there are reasons to go shopping. Great shopping is a wonderful thing, but I don't need to do it. And the same thing is happening with offices, and it's become abundantly clear during the pandemic. Funny enough, knowledge businesses can operate without an office. That might not be the desired end point, but they can. So yeah. unless the industry can find a way of providing their customer with something they really want, as opposed to need, then they have a problem. But I think this again is a bug and a feature. The ones who aren't able to create a great user experience and make customers want their space are really in for trouble. But those who can create great user experiences and can create environments that the best companies really want to be in them are going to find that even in a market with massive oversupply, they're going to find their section of the market is actually undersupplied with high demand, because the best companies are going to gravitate to these types of spaces. And frankly, not that many real estate companies are going to be able to do it. So there's going to be a low supply of really, really great space, which is why, if you can do it, I think you can probably generate more money out of real estate today and in the future than you've ever been able to do before. But you cannot do it just with a real estate mindset. You need to nail those 6 different industries together to really leverage this.
And I guess, so outside of workspace, Anthony, I saw earlier on this year, you've been a very busy man, and you have started an innovation academy. Our listeners would love to hear a little bit more about, one, why did you start it? Who is this Innovation Academy for? And, tell us a little bit about, what does it comprise of?
Okay. It's actually quite fortuitous that I've set this up with a colleague of mine, a chap called Dror Poleg, who a lot of your listeners probably have come across as well, who lives in New York. And Dror and I are very similar in the sense that both of us have a real estate background and quite a technical background as well. And we've been around the block quite a few times, and are particularly interested in the real estate side, the technology side, and how these two interact. And we started thinking just before Christmas, well, maybe we should do an online course, because both of us have said and written about that one of the issues within the prop tech industry is that you have a real estate industry that doesn't understand technology, and you have a technology industry, a prop tech industry that doesn't really understand anything about real estate. And that's clearly a problem. So we had this initial idea of, could we create a course which educated real estate people about technology and technology people about real estate, and what's the crossovers, and how can each side work together, and how do the dynamics of the industry work. So we were actually working on this at the beginning of the year, and actually got it ready just as I think it was literally the first week of lockdown was when we completed it, and so that was in March. So we were ready to go in March, but you remember that time it was no one was running around that headless chicken, so we didn't do anything. So we launched the first cohort in May, which went really well. It's a 5-week course, and one of our students described it as, well, it's partly a real estate course, it's partly a technology course, and it's partly a baby MBA course. So it's a real crossover. It's a real macro. Let's look at what are the main drivers of supply and demand. How do you finance things? How do you operate things? How do you design things? What things are going to be in demand, and all that sort of stuff. So we did our first cohort. We've finished our second cohort actually this week. Next week we're going to launch a cohort specifically for APAC regions, and
awesome.
It'll be based on Singapore time, because it's a completely online course, but we have once a week we have an online get together. So we've been lucky enough to have quite a few APAC people on our course at the moment, but poor things have to be up at like midnight to join our live course. So we're going to do one that's going to be based on Singapore time, and then we're doing the last one of the year will be in October, which will be for US and Europe time. And so far, what is really interesting about it is that it's attracted roughly 50-50 male-female, which is quite extraordinary for real estate course. It's also attracted a really wide range of people. So we've had developers, we've had architects, we've had designers, we've had investors, we've had flex operators, we've had a real range of people, and a wide range of types as well. So we've had quite a few sort of young entrepreneurial people starting their first businesses, all the way up to main board directors of one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. And the networking within the course has been absolutely fantastic, because each week we split the cohort up into groups, and we give them 4 questions, and they have to present to the whole group the following week. So everybody gets to meet everybody else. And what's been so exciting about it is that we've asked, actually, to be honest, really hard questions. We've asked questions which are along the lines of, what's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? And you've got 10 minutes to answer. And so really hard questions, but the effort and brain power that has gone into the presentations has been amazing. So in terms of an innovation loving, it's sort of pretty much heaven for Joe and I. It's really worked out incredibly well, and we have sort of five weeks of fizzing with our ideas. But also, what we're going to do, the longer term aim, is that we're going to try and build an alumni network. So we have a separate Slack channel which is only available to alumni, and all these presentations that we do, each cohort will get added into the main group, and we're really encouraging people to work together, because it's very much self-selecting in a way. The type of people that are doing this course are the people who are interested in the future and change in real estate and technology. So over time, we're hoping to build a really powerful, long, ongoing network of, if you like, true believers of prop tech and real estate. So that's it. And all of that is realinnovationacademy.com. The full curriculum's on there. Just go and have a look, and let me know what you think.
Absolutely. And I'll be sharing this information as well in the show notes as well. So if anyone wants to apply, and definitely reach out. Sounds like a great academy. And I think from what I've seen in the market, the only one going on at the moment, which is also specific to real estate, and who better to learn from than Anthony as well. Somebody who's obviously so passionate about the digitalization in real estate. But I guess this sadly is bringing us to the end of the podcast. Anthony, is there any bit of parting information you'd like to sort of share with our listeners, and also how they can connect with you?
Well, in terms of connecting with me, as you mentioned earlier, I am a rather too prolific tweeter. So if you like Twitter, at Anthony Slumbers, which is no H, so at Anthony Slumbers. Or everything I do in my blog is on anthonyslumbers.com. Most of my stuff ends up on LinkedIn as well. So those are the best ways of contacting me. And the only thing I'd like to say, because it's particularly pertinent at the moment, is that clearly we are at a time of huge change. I'd just like to say it's going to happen anyway. So really embrace it as an opportunity and think hard about how can you rework your value proposition, your business models, your offering to your customers to take account of the change, rather than try and protect what was happening before. So push on through. The only way around is through, as Robert Frost said.
Nice. Awesome. Well, look, thank you so much for that, Anthony. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you after the show.
That's great. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Propcast, and a big thanks to our special guests. Make sure you visit our website, www.lmre.co.uk, where you can subscribe to our show, or you'll find us on iTunes and Spotify, where all good content is found. Whilst you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or if you simply just spread the word. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday, and I'll catch you later.
You're listening to a Podcast Company podcast. This was made by Podcast Syndicator, where we help you go from start to grow to making money with your podcast. Let us help you share your message and your voice with the world. Reach out now, Jason at podcastsyndicator.com or Brett at podcastsyndicator.com to find out more. Thank you for listening, and do come back to hear nothing but the best podcasts.